of this basilica. And this is famous for one thing, that if you go see a Roman Catholic church anywhere else in the world, in the altar, this is either Jesus Christ or Holy Maria, or maybe both of them together in the altar. But here in this church, this is Saint Stephen in the altar, the first Hungarian king. So ladies and gentlemen, then have a look at the beautiful, you probably realize the beautiful illumination. In the meantime, Hungary has always been illuminated like this, even in the days of those bad communism. That will probably be a perfect disappointment for you, because I have to tell you honestly that, I mean, the communist system was bad. Then on the right hand side, those towers on the top of the hill, that is the Matthias Church. There you go. And then here we are taking this beautiful chain bridge, the first stone connection between Buda and Pest, from 1848, when this bridge was built and opened by a Scottish architect, by the way, whose name is Adam Clark. And then on the left hand side, on the top of the hill, there you see the Royal Palace, this longish, beautifully illuminated building. This is the Royal Palace. It's absolutely nothing royal inside, it's only the building. From the inside today, there is a library. Plan of those good Hungarians in Cuba, in Romania or in East Germany. And in 1989, all of a sudden we found about 300,000 East German refugees in our country. All of a sudden they showed up. Because the East Germans were kept so strict in their own country that, can you believe at all that the East Germans could not get a passport unless they were senior citizens? There was no way, not even the end. Decided to open up the Iron Curtain and let the East Germans go over to West Germany. So ladies and gentlemen, on the left hand side, the big building is the Royal Palace. As I said, there is a library inside. It's hard to believe, but that huge building was leveled to ground in World War II. And then we needed to rebuild the building from the ashes, and when we were ready, there we had a palace completely empty, because everything from the palace was taken into the Soviet Union after 1945. The negotiations have been going on for 30 years, but we haven't gotten back one single needle. It's so secretive where they are keeping all our treasures. So then what to do with an empty palace? We turned it into a call that star sign versus... Then on the right hand side, the illuminated building on the Pest side is the University of Economics that we do have in the city. And then in front of us on the left hand side, the church which is illuminated is the Inner City Parish Church. This is the Inner City Parish Church. Have a look at the front side. You see that here the stones are painted. Gorgeous. Do you like my city at all?
Yes. Yeah, wonderful.
That's very good. Please be enthusiastic. Thank you. I'm absolutely fond of it. I've already been to quite some countries in the world, but I could never leave Hungary for. On the left hand side, have a look at that. That is the State Opera House. Have a look at the balconies. Have a look at the ceiling of the balconies. Do you see those rounded little things on the ceiling? I don't know why they are there, but they look so gorgeous. This is all absolutely, it's no functional, but it's nice. So who cares about function if it looks good? That's all Heron porcelain. Can you see the ceiling? That's Heron porcelain. Wow. Some kind of picture which is known in America from the revolution in Hungary in 1956, where there is a tank, a castle behind. Can you see that? On the right hand side, behind the ice skating rink. This is where we are going now. And have a good look at the outside, because you're gonna be surprised when you see the inside. and row on this little artificial lake. So isn't it just gorgeous? In the winter this, in the summer that.
But it's cold. It's been cold enough for that to freeze. So
You don't need to be, because it's not artificial. I mean, it's just a kind of a joke that we freeze the same water. It's machines that make the ice. So every October the 15th, ice starts even. Bears on the top. This is the second oldest zoo of Europe. And a few years ago, here with the blue dome, can you make a guess what that is? Mask, God give me strength. I told you this was the zoo. Mask. So this is the zoo, and this is the winter place of the elephants, built in Art Nouveau style. The elephants are kept in there. Isn't it just beautiful? Have a look at that. So the entire zoo is full of buildings like that. Then here on the left-hand side comes the building of the circus. The shield says 1889. Of course, the building is more modern because the old one was destroyed in World War II. Hungary is one of the few capital cities of Europe that has a permanent circus building. So the oldest running wooden roller coaster of Europe that you would never ever sit on because it's shaking like hell. Because the entire waves are made of wood, and the amazing history from the Roman and from the Turkish times. Have a look at the main dome of this building on the right hand side. Isn't it just gorgeous? It looks like an like a jewel box. And it's beautiful from the inside. Wave pools, outdoor pools, thermal water, everything is available. Then here on the left hand side you see Vajdahunyad Castle, this big mixing from buildings from all around from Hungary put together into one complex in the heart of the city. And then exactly last night we were here. This is here the oh, have a look at that fog above the ice. Can you see that? Isn't that interesting? So this Square. He's quite a famous Hungarian musician, collected folk songs all around in the Carpathian Basin. Not only Hungarian folk songs, but as well as Serbian, Romanian, Slovak, Croatian, Ruthenian, whatever, all kinds of music. And this beautiful facade with the golden decoration, can you see that? This is here the Academy of Arts. In the cellar of this building we have a marionette theater, and there is this lady who's looking for Hungarian musical things. Here on the left hand side, this corner is the old Academy of Music with a Franz Liszt memory room in the building. Then on the right hand side, have a look at this grey building. I must show headquarters of the ex-headquarters of the Hungarian secret police in the 1950s. And this is now turned into a museum in the memory of the victims of the fascist dictatorship in Hungary. Now, the history of the church is not too long. The construction started in 1851 and everything was finished by 1900. In about 50 years, 55 was built up. Just a little other interesting thing from the music history is that the main dome is on the left hand side comes the Academy of Sciences, built by a person who we call the greatest Hungarian. He is called Széchenyi István. How high do you think the main dome is? Of course 96, that's an A+. Pupils, very nice. And this is 96 stairs running into the main reception foyer of the building. Have you realized that everything is much bigger in Hungary than the size of the country? This is because it goes back to our imperial past, when we had the original size of our country in 1956, and the bullet holes are marked on this building. Like this is a neolog, which is a newer synagogue. It is called neolog. Then a real old temple, a synagogue, a Jewish cemetery, and a museum together. It's a complex. Side behind and going over to Buda, and on the right hand side, if you have a look at that white tower, this is where we are going now. That is massaged. On the left hand side, the bridge is called Franz Joseph Bridge. Then this is here the Elizabeth Bridge, and on the right hand side, that is the famous and well known. Here on the right hand side you see a statue of Queen Elizabeth. When I say goodbye to you at the church, then you will have to walk back from the church to the coach on your own, and meanwhile you are walking back. That will be the little time that you can take for yourselves. And my colleague first, what is going on and how we can go into.
Started to redo the church, but they were doing.
So ladies and gentlemen, first of all, have a look at the tiles on the roof. Have a look at those beautiful tiles. And believe me or not, all the tiles are handmade and handmade with porcelain tiles.
Some of them are 10 years old,
Something
some
that
of them
the
are 200,
Hungarians always
some of them
take for
500.
themselves.
Whatever they
So
put
this is
in
actually, because can you believe that in World War II, all the
from
tiles...
now onwards.
Do I have a good story? And have a look at the alternative and the front of the church where in World War II, and the only is that the more beautiful of the but the original stone of the church is successful at the beginning, but of course after a while, they say public bus stop. Of course I cannot be parking there forever because then we cannot, right? So we are going to stop in a public bus stop right here around the corner of the pedestrian street, and then I would like to ask you to make a jump start. So please get organized because we reached this public bus stop before you could say Jack Robinson. The daughter together, he was praying day and night, and then the daughter said, well, she said, if the Mongolians leave us alive, if not...
I don't want to continue the sentence. 1885, the construction of the parliament started, and 1902 was the opening. So altogether 17 years it took till the parliament was finished. And actually the original anniversary of the Hungarian conquest, because that time they wanted to have the opening ceremony of the Millennium Feast and of the parliament together. There was only one problem with that. The parliament was not yet finished. Here all the time, because the Holy Virgin was protected as if the crown is kept here. Saint Stephen lost his only son. As he stayed without a father, he paid a disappointment when there is a thought that the crown must be hidden somehow, otherwise it will be right away taken outside the country. Therefore they buried it in Transylvania, of course they made the notices in his burial, and then afterwards it took 4 days to find it. Why the third card? But that was a very interesting way how to see how interesting the sessions are. It was enough to look at the ashtray. If the ashtray was full of ash, it meant it's a very boring session.
On the other riverside there had been German tribes like the Gwaden and Markomannen for about some 100 years ago. That this district is really existing. It's the second district in Vienna. Vienna has 20. There was also existing a war navy, and he was the most important commander. And now you can see in front really the Ferris wheel or giant wheel. We name it Riesenrad in our language. It's about 200 feet high, and it was constructed by an English engineer named Walter Bassett more than 100 years ago. Center of the Jewish population in Vienna. There stayed in Vienna about 200,000 of them. About 140,000 had to leave Vienna after the annexion by Hitler in March 1938 and 1800. Before it was named Wiener Wasser, Vienna Water. It was the only shipping arm in Vienna, but it was too dangerous. The second district, where we are still now, is much lower, you know, and therefore also Art Nouveau style you will find here. The last building which was finished in here is on the left-hand side, the former Ministry of Wars, now our other ministry, very famous one. And on the right-hand side, there's an example, and inside are monuments of composers, and nice to sit out on the terrace to hear the music composed by Strauss, Lange and so on. If you have a look, you can see that most of the buildings have the same height, and in front it's a Hotel Imperial. It's a hotel for state guests in Vienna, in the ranking under the... Then in the middle, monument shows the famous Empress Marie Theresa. Tomorrow you will hear a lot about her in Schönbrunn Palace. And the next building is the Natural History Museum. And behind it is a modern museum's quarter. And just behind the museum's quarter there's also a very nice and charming Christmas market. I'll tell later on also about the Christmas market. Pallas Athena, the Greek goddess of wisdom. And the spire you find on the left is the town hall. This is the town hall in Vienna, not St. Stephen's Cathedral. It's a town hall. And right another garden. You know, where we are just now had been in former times the moat. The fortification was on the right hand side, then the moat. Inside, you can see the windows like advent calendars. Inside are workshops for children, you know, the baking biscuits and so on. And inside are singing also international choirs. On the right hand side is now the most famous coffee house you find around in German language. And another church left, named Votivkirche in New French Gothic style. There had been nearby the imperial palace an attempted assassination on the emperor barracks named Rossauer Kaserne. After it was finished, also in the 19th century, it was learned that the was constructed around 1500 and it's still the original one. Roman Catholics, more than 80 you find around in the cathedral. Another highlight the full Gothic style, Gothic flamboyant. Founded actually in Germany, Hamburg, you know, and it was first a wooden bread, and they burned on the bread 24 candles, one candle for every day before Christmas, you know, and later on they had been put green pine branches on this Advent bread, and only 4 candles until now. Children had been baptized just here in the Augustinerkirche, passing by the goal that along they will see from the spire, and they will meet some minutes our bus again. This building, where we are just now, is the library, is the Austrian National Library.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, just quickly, this will be the place where tomorrow, after Schönbrunn tour, you will be... and the Austrian flag on top. And look here, look at all these lights. The tower on the left hand side is the town hall, and all the lights in front, that is part of the Christmas market. Just here on the left, all the trees, look what's hanging in the trees. During the day you don't see that because it's not lit up, but at night a white illuminated theater, the Burg Theater, and right behind the Burg Theater, this is where we are going.
Close enough where I might get a flashback.
So just have a look to your left, the huge Christmas tree and all these figures, all the lights. Look at that. For dinner, there is no dinner. And look here, there is a little train. The
marble floor, also the two big marble inlay pictures on the wall. And these four pictures show the life behind the curtain. So you can see Mozart, the only one in this room with three different pictures. The magic flute, Don Giovanni, and the magic figure. In this room, there are also the last of the most famous directors of this house. Opposite the mirror, the house. In front on the right side, in front on the left side, Carl Berlin, set up in the basket. Vienna. The whole stage was destroyed in the Second World War, therefore of course it's quite modern, because you know another technique to build a stage after Second World War, the New Year 1861. And therefore now we have got the largest stage of Europe in Vienna, with 5 different stages in the house. Behind the opening, which is small, it's about 14 meters wide, 12 meters high.
Alles so wie früher, nur die Dekoration, die war früher